Today is August 9th, 2026. 7 years ago today, about 8:10 in the morning, when I lived on Louisville and North Chapel, the apartment building before the building I lived in, second close to the fence, there was a lady and little girls lived there. They were outside talking and about Dave being part of drugging me and telling me to say it before. Later on that day, an officer with a badge around his neck, clipboard, there was a group of neighbors got together with him. It was echoing through the parking lots. Those people told us they all drugged her and told her to say it before, and her ex-husband was involved. Did reports. See, I told you where that guy showed up July 23rd, 2026 at my grandson's counseling, sitting behind us at the Wellness Grove Center, North Canton. Carl went to the bathroom and he spoke out. He said, "Trust me, no one will say a word." Those people years ago admitted they drugged you and told you to say it before, and Dave was involved. And I thought about the 8/9/21, and I thought, well, they did in 18, and then it's like, oh my God, they did it before 12/21/18. It has to be probably between Thanksgiving of 18 and 12/21/18, because we're out in, because that's when I was bashed in the back of the head. We were out in the evening, and these two big drug dealers came up, and one was behind me and one's beside me, and I could just feel them walk up. And I know the officers and agents weren't too far away, and they were calling my ex-husband a fucking bastard. Arrogant asshole. Who does he think he is talking to us like that? And see, that's one thing. Judge Peters' group from Florida, you make them mad, they'll rat you out to the cops and feds. Every one of them. They will sing like canaries, and they'll make sure they hear them and walk off. Get the idea? They're funny criminals. They're not funny criminals, but they're odd. They're loud, proud criminals. We're drug traders, human traffickers from Florida. We work for Judge Peters. And they'll tell you their crimes. They don't care. You piss them off, they'll tell on you. See, and I told my one friend, Matt, I said, it's crazy. These people come up and announce their crimes in front of the cops. He said, it's the latest thing to do. Announce your crimes and then dare them to arrest you. I said, that's stupid, they got you. He said, it's like the Bonnie and Clyde thing. He said, they just, hey, we're this, da-da-da. And it's like they think they're badass. But those Judge Peters group, you cross them, and they'll make sure the police and the FBI know everything about you, what you're doing. Then you got to think of what they're saying too. It may have been to cover your own ass thing, because when they came up behind me and around me, they said, that fucking bastard, that arrogant asshole, who does he think he is talking to us like that? Dave wants us to take her out and kill her. If I ended up dead, they wanted to make sure they knew it wasn't them. Because doing premeditated murder in front of the cops, that's a death penalty. Think about it. It's one thing if you get arrested on drug charges or human trafficking. It's a whole different thing when it's premeditated murder. See, that's not, you're going to get released with the surveillance gets thrown out. That means you're going to be in getting executed for, they can even get at the surveillance or now. Because they have you. Okay? Dave wants us to take her out and kill her. I don't care what he thinks. Who does he think he is? He thought he was God. That he controlled life and death. Why don't we just take her out? We can take her out. Why waste a good woman? We can just sell her. Make money off of it. Would he like us to do this to him? We get paid to do it to her. I know. But still. Who does he think he is? And then Dave and Melissa had this plan for months before they did it. They decided together that she would be the more appropriate parent for the kids. It's all set up that Dave and her will get everything in the divorce, and she can't help John when she goes for full custody. When she goes to take it. They use Z drugs on her. I didn't understand what Z drugs were. They're hypnotic drugs that cause sleepwalking. They used Z drugs on her when they drugged her and told her to say it before. She has no memory of what those people said and did. Dave was part of using them in the house when they drugged her and told her to say it before. With those Z drugs. And it was to make sure that him and Melissa got everything in the divorce. And they said that Z drugs erase your memory as it's happening. It actually causes permanent amnesia because you're sleepwalking. And she'll never remember. Too bad we don't have a drug to erase her memory for what we're doing to her now. They told people in Louisville in 1918 and that, or 19 when I moved there, and they were everywhere telling them, and that John and Melissa were in it together, even act like they were a couple. Okay, and how they had all this planned out. Well, April 6, 25, I went over to Danny and John's, and Dixie walked in. Jen and Danny have a tiny home. Their kitchen's like 7 feet from the literally from where I was sitting in the living room. So she walked up and said, "Nobody thinks it's funny she married that old man." And I thought, "Excuse me?" She said, "Some lady investigator said she can store all kinds of money out of the government for me and Melissa." Jen's like, "We want nothing to do with it." She said, the lady investigator said, even though I gave her permission on tape of knowing how Melissa's kids is mean games of pretend they were laughing about, because they're documented mean games of pretend. And Dave bragging out the gunshot night, even though I gave her permission to date me, I can sue the government for millions of dollars. Jen's like, "We want nothing to do with it." Some lady investigator asked me if we knew of the tapes before. I told her we knew nothing. Asked me if I knew of a tape of Weird With Yourself. Said we knew nothing and we won't have anything to do with it. She had giant bruises all over her, throwing up and almost passing out. I didn't put it together what was happening up there. I do now. And we won't have anything to do with it. And she said, Melissa said the group of people they hired to break in her home to set up body cameras watching her. Oh. Break in and do things to her. Then Melissa lied to him that the chief of police gave him permission to let it happen. He's not given permission. But she admitted to hiring those drug dealers and to that break in and do things to people, which they said they're allowed, which the way they described it made total sense. I thought, dear God, leave the dumb girl alone. If that makes sense to her, she's nuts. That they're allowed to do that, they're not allowed to do that. And she can't sue for millions of dollars, extorting money. It's a federal crime to even extort money, try to attempt extortion out of the government's 20 years. In Ohio laws, you can be in a one-party conversation with someone, and you can hit record on your phone. It's your video. You can do whatever you want. It's totally legal. You can tape an open party, an event, and you don't need anybody's permission. You can do whatever you want with it. A doctor can never tape you unaware. It's HIPAA violations. Okay? You cannot set up button cameras and listening devices in somebody's home. That goes into stalking, cyber stalking, wiretapping, illegal monitoring, felony invasion of privacy, sextortion, voyeurism. It goes into federal crimes. The right of privacy does matter. These people try to tell people the Fourth Amendment doesn't matter. It sure does. They lie. That you don't have any rights. But Dixie said, Melissa said, poor Dave had to sit in the basement and listen to her have wild sex with other men. I don't blame him what he did to her, and walked out. I thought, wild sex, other men. What men? What sex? And then you think of the giant bruises throwing up, severely infected. He was listening to them drug beat rape me in the basement. My brother's like, what is it, some kind of sick fantasy to listen to a real rape? I had 3 weird memories. Thought they were nightmares. Footsteps, a syringe coming at me. Then I couldn't see, I couldn't breathe. And every part of my body is in agony, and all I can hear is my wails, screams, and then nothing. And then wake up the next morning with bruises all over you, throwing up. And the only thing you did was take a shower and think that was the worst nightmare, and thinking you're still in your bed. Thinking it was the worst nightmare, and the orange well water you showered in is giving you cancer. I would get a shower and get in bed and dry off and get in bed and wake up with bruises, throwing up, infected. At times I'd wake up in the morning and be fine and go out and work out in the yard. Come in, wash my hands. Make a sandwich, and I drink a lot of Diet Coke. Pour a glass of Diet Coke out of a 2-liter, go and use the bathroom. Come out and take a drink in the room, went dizzy and black, and then hours later the same thing. No, never seen, never talked to anybody. Last year when they brought up again the hypnotic drugs, the C drugs, that they used them when they drugged me and told me to say it before, she has no memory of it, any of those people and what they did. They said, she don't remember being stabbed in the hallway. I thought, oh, come on. Why wouldn't I remember being stabbed in the hallway? And they said they were hiding behind doors when I walked by rooms. And I thought, why wouldn't I remember? Then I thought, bees. There's big bees nest in the ground out there through the woods. Several of them. And they would always get in the house. And it was nothing to take a broom and swat them. So you're in your home, your private home. You walk by a room. You feel an ouch. They said they would lean out and jab me real quick and lean back. Are you looking for a drug dealer? No. What are you looking for? What insect stung you or bit you? And you sit down and take a drink, and the room goes dizzy and black. And that loud, they worked at Big Family Church. They could control anybody for 4 to 6 hours. The dangers of using hypnotic drugs cause sleepwalking with amnesia. You can eat, drink, drive a car, have sex, and no memory, and you could lead to your death because you don't know what you're doing. And you're under someone else's control without your conscious of telling you, hey, there's danger. See what I mean? That's where they did it to my neighbor Mike, and he tried to come home. When he got home, he didn't know how he got out of the bar, didn't know how he changed his shoes, what he'd ate, where he got money in his pocket, and then tried to tell me he was a New York cop and thought I was pretty. I'm like, dear God, he's delusional. Go, somebody's roofied him. They did it to U.S. Marshals kid twice. She don't know what happened to her. She moved out of the area for safety. They did it to my coworker Darren. She was taken and raped. And she don't remember even meeting them. Get the idea. Melissa was caught, and all the police know she's documented me games of pretend. Okay. She got caught with these 2 guys that they work for a drug lord. That Melissa was willing to help him get away with it. She was willing to have the kids lie. And right in front of the cops and feds, they ratted her out right in front of them. She was working with them. And I told them to say, and so they followed her around to find out what it was. Then her telling the kids to lie, and then on Thanksgiving 18 that they wanted the house for Auntie Shell and Papa, and later on to Flora, they made everything up, their games at pretend. Laughing sick shit. They called her out after Thanksgiving of 18. Okay. That why they having those kids make that shit up. Oh, they're trying to scare her out of the house. And Melissa's so stupid. She made everything up when you were fishing with Dave. She's actually that stupid. She didn't check where you were. And then Officer Mark, Melissa could go to jail for this. Okay. I hate to arrest her. Kids a little will write it up that her and the kids were showing off for Dave and his new girlfriend. Documented me games of pretend where the Massillon police told Mount Carmel, Illinois, June 23rd to July 4th of 21, they're documenting me games of pretend, and that I'd never hurt anyone. Stark County Sheriff's made fun of some guy named Kurt. Called him slow if he just found out those kids were lying in May of 21. Flora ratted him out October 23rd, 2019. Of course, it never happened. Of course, it wasn't true. We made it up. They were games of pretend. Laughing. Let's see. They even told that apartment building for me second closest to the fence. Those kids, they were lying. There were so many people they told they were lying. This one guy around July 4th of 21, if they don't stop telling those everybody they were lying, I'm not going to help them. I thought, why are you helping them in the first place? Seriously. They used to scream about Melissa's lies on the streets of Louisville and Canton. October 5th, 21, in front of a client, they were talking about her lying, and we went to leave. And he said, who's that crazy Melissa? They all talk about lying everywhere we go. Said the ex-daughter-in-law friends with the ex's girlfriend had the kids to make up some mean games of pretend on Thanksgiving of 18. He said, I said that they had the kids make up some mean games of pretend on Thanksgiving of 18 in front of the police. He said, is she crazy? I said, yes. He said, they're still talking about her lying, and it's been years. Last year, I was in Carrollton in the summer, and where that one other Michelle, the real pretty one, told an agent that the doctor from before was not one of mine, works for them, and they had lied. And he was one of my doctors, and when they bashed him in my head, they tried to kill me or leave me incompetent. It didn't work, and he broke up with her. They threatened to kill her for telling on him. She went badass. Her and her friends told on everything. Okay. There was some of those girls from the cartel down there telling Carrollton, don't ever say a word to her. Did you hear about her crazy ex-daughter-in-law, Melissa? What a loon. Went in it with her cheating ex-husband. Hired a bunch of drug dealers to drug her up and tell her to say stuff, Photoshop and frame her, and had her beat and raped by those drug dealers. Who does that to somebody's mother because her husband divorced them? What a loon. Make sure everybody don't say a word to her. Okay? It's been almost 7.5 years of that girl lying. I told you, even January 12th, 22, Officer John, I found out through the sheriff, his name's not John, he's not an officer, he's a federal agent. He stopped men at the door of Walgreens, North Main. When those kids get taped stating, they made everything up. See, that's where those two guys that said they worked for the drug lord got a real problem. Nobody actually got hurt. See, there is a real problem with that. Yeah, they're mean jokes on top of them. You know, what was it? July 22nd, 26th, we're in Myers and Alliance. They were talking about Melissa being in with those drug dealers, had those drug dealers drug me up and tell me say it so I couldn't help John when she went for custody of the kids. She didn't want somebody like me raising her kids. Her victim. People in Bob Evans that day were complaining how they heard those people talk about it, that other people had confessed, that Melissa was part of hiring those drug dealers to drug me up and tell me to say that before. So I couldn't help John when she went for custody of the kids. She didn't want a person like me raising her kids. Some guys like, I didn't find any of that funny. I didn't find it funny where July 8th, 26th, Walmart and Alliance in the back, they said, it's that Will guy out there screaming how he made me live through complete horror, a person like me, his victim. He said, I didn't think it's funny when that guy admitted he made her live through complete horror. And now Melissa's in it with those drug dealers, having those people drug her and tell her to say stuff. So she couldn't help John when she went for custody. She didn't want a person like her raising her kids, and she's the one that had drug dealers do that to her and have that guy make her live through complete horror. I never want to see her again. She's dangerous as hell. I don't blame you. Dangerous as hell. Having drug dealers break in people's homes, set up cameras watching them, Photoshop things, break in and drug people up and tell them to say stuff and have them being raped under drugs and keep them drugged up till they think it's the well water making them sick and killing them. And framing people. She's very dangerous. See, that's where people have not even looked at this with common sense. He said, you tell everybody you know not to say a word to her again. And I never want to see her talk to her ever again. Okay? See, that's one thing. Nobody went to the hospital. There's no police report. There's no pictures of injuries, no treatment for injuries, no prosecution. There's no physical evidence because they're mean jokes. That's where July 20, let me restart this again. This one was June 28th, 2026. June 28th, 2026. I'm in Carroll. I'm at a gas station, the Speedway. There's this heavyset older guy. I walk by. I find out what's going on. None of this is funny. Okay? He said, I thought they were just making fun of you. Well, that night outside my work, it must have been him. He's talking to some guy. He said, I seen her out today. He said, I found out there's a real FBI case. He said, I found out that the police and the FBI taped Melissa telling those kids to lie and the kids saying that they made everything up. They were games of pretend. He said, is that why there's no evidence of anything? He said, yes, they're mean jokes. He said, and I found out they were saying they were lying for that girl to get everything that they're all stealing for. He said, I also found out there's a lady waiting to arrest Melissa. He said, I know about her, and she's ready to pounce. And she's going to get her in a heartbeat. He said, then you tell her to tell everyone you know she knows that they were all lying, making everything up, and they were games of pretend for that girl to get everything just like they taped them. Or she's going to end up in jail. And nobody ever say a word to her again that they were just the mean jokes. He's like, none of this is funny. No, it's not. How would you like to be me? And then where this last Tuesday, Carl and I were at the VA on Market Street in camp. Okay? We go to leave. There's some idiot in there pretending. I didn't even turn around. I thought, I'm not going to deal with you. Pretending to be a prosecutor. Like they said, it was probably that Henry Moffey again pretending to be somebody. That or it's that Will pretending to be somebody. They're impersonators. Lying to everybody. He said, guy said, I found out her ex-husband, they taped him defending her. Well, I told them to act normal so she wouldn't know what we did. Oh, so you normal is defending me to the max. You thought you could pull a bitch move of a hypnotic drugs and told to say something horrible, Photoshop and frame, you could just get away with it, and stalking tapes by drug dealers. Don't work that way, sweetie, and you ain't from the prosecutor's office. He said, I'm one of the head prosecutors. He said, and I told him just to act that way so she wouldn't know what we were really doing. Like a pull bitch move. Don't work that way, and you're not a prosecutor. He said, I'm going to fly John up here for him to verify the tapes before, and I'm going to destroy her. He ain't going to do shit. And Johnson would never help Melissa if hell froze over. See, in like 2020, Melissa snuck in. John and Melissa have been divorced for over a year and a half. Okay. She snuck in his house. He was in the bathroom. He walked out. She lunged at him, screaming. While he startled, he shoved her. He got arrested for domestic violence. That is not domestic violence. That's breaking and entering. They were not married, and she had no right in that house. He lost his kids, went to jail. Okay. A year later, he asked me to be a reliable name on a court record to babysit his kids after school so he could try to get custody back. I told him, I said, I don't get off my first job, let alone my second. I barely make it now. I'm sorry I can't help you, but these are my kids' mom. And I could just hear the pain in his voice. And there was nothing I could do. I said, John, I'll lose my apartment. I barely make it now. I am so sorry I can't help you. But Mom, if you are not that reliable name on a court record to babysit my kids after school, I'll lose my kids forever. I said, I'm so sorry. I barely make it now. And he lost his kids. Moved to Florida years ago. Met a new woman, married her. Started a church and looks happier than ever. Had to get away from the call. Okay. June 3rd, 23. John, my son, he's so smart. He's not only an electrician, but he also taught college. And then he was a union rep. He had several offices, had thousands of contacts in this area. Some electrical companies pull in around me. Hey, isn't that John's mom? He said that she's never hurt anyone, and it's just these people. And because of these people, he may never see his mom again. And he said she's never hurt anyone. I know, and that's his mom. And it's just these people. And they were horrified. He told thousands. July 26, 25, an investigator from 18 that had said he interviewed John, and he said nothing bad ever happened to him, had showed back up July 26, 25 from 2018 in Walmart 62. Okay. They also went to Dr. Haben, the kids' pediatrician, from 1984 to 2002, seen him 3 or 4 times a year for 18 years, that there was no sign of any abuse, no sign of neglect, and very well taken care of. MD proof nobody was ever harmed. No sign of any abuse, no sign of neglect, and very well taken care of. Okay. Let's see. Thanksgiving of 18, when I asked him what's going on, he didn't know. That he had told Melissa, his ex-wife, that they were going to go through a divorce. She'd have the kids make up something, but don't worry about it. Nobody can say anything bad about you. She'll have the church people make up something too, but don't worry about it. Nobody can say anything bad about you. Just be made up because of the divorce. Totally defends me repeatedly. I even went to my ex-husband. I said, I've never hurt anyone. He said, Karen, you're good to the kids. You're good to the grandkids. You would never hurt anyone. You're good to everyone, no matter who it is. Totally defends me, like I expected him to. Talked about John not knowing, and, oh, he'll take care of Melissa, da-da-da-da-da. She thinks she can make up something on you. Totally defends me. Okay. Now, with John losing his kids, moving to Florida, you know what he would tell you? She thinks she can pull a move like that to get total custody, and she's a big enough person to raise those kids on her own. And tell her to figure it out herself. Tell her if she can't make it on her pay to go out and work 2 jobs. She wants to be sole parent of those kids and no help from him. You tell her to figure it out herself. Don't be bringing me her problems. he would be telling you, don't you dare help her. She wants to pull stunts like that, so she gets custody. It's bitch moves. She wants to be sole parent. Let her figure it out herself, and don't you dare help her. Or these people were running around lying last year. Oh, John told everybody. Everybody's to make sure Melissa gets everything. He'd be saying, don't you dare help her. After what she did, don't you dare help her. Tell her to figure it out herself. She has to work 2 jobs. Let her work 2 jobs. She wants to be sole parent. Let her do it on her own. Let her figure it out herself. See, hell would freeze over before he'd help her. See how these people lie? And see, that's that crazy religion. Strange preach the world is only 6,000 years old. The world did not start till the Bible time. If they tell you there was dinosaurs, they're lying. You go to those museums, the fake dinosaur bones, they're all fake. It's scientists trying to fool you that the world is millions of years old. There was no dinosaurs. There was no Stone Age. Prehistoric age. There was none of that. There's nothing till the Bible started. It's only 6,000 years old. You believe anything different, you're blaspheming God. Okay? Another one, a part of their religion. If you say something, you have 2 witnesses, it becomes law. You can totally destroy somebody if you and your friends go involved together. If you hate someone and you get your friends on board, you can go make up a lie on somebody and they'll say they'll witness it, and you can get them divorced, destroyed, and thrown out of church. Because now it becomes law. See, that's where those people thought they could hire drug dealers on their own to break in my home. That they had the right to do this to me. Nobody had the right to do this to me. Or anybody else. Stab me with a hypnotic drug, tell me to say something horrible, and pull a bitch move, and have me being raped under drugs by people I've never met. In Photoshop, like Agent John's girlfriend said, July 26, the drug dealers they hired to do it to her photoshopped washing in the shower in the other room, in their tapes, the ones that we hired to do it to her, so they could steal everything. The drug dealers we hired to do all these things to her, taped her in the shower washing herself. Photoshop that in the other room to make her look weird with herself. They were making fun of her. Ha 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 ha. Photoshopped her washing in the shower, taped, and put it in the other room. Photoshopped that in the other room to make her look weird with herself. They were making fun of her. The drug dealers picked her out personally so that they could steal from me. People have insulted that girl from the beginning. They thought she was handicapped. They've called her horrible names like retarded. They have called her insane. They have a person like her. They prosecute. They have called her a drug addict. They have called her cartel. You name it. Okay. And how dumb people are helping her. And it's like, you better hope she's not special needs. Because if she, they're not just saying mean words about somebody normal. But if somebody is truly handicapped and you involve them in this, it's exploiting a handicapped person, and it becomes a bigger crime. getting them to put their name on it to have somebody else harmed is exploiting that handicapped person. You better hope she's not. And they're just using mean words to describe her because she's a nutbag. She's definitely schizophrenic. The rationality is not there of what is right and wrong, and the schizo thinking, and definitely a psychopath of no sympathy, empathy, or remorse, and no care for anybody but herself. She is definitely schizophrenic and a psychopath, at the very least. As being special needs, she may not be. She may just be a crack-headed, loudmouth prostitute. That could be. But people call her names because she acts so insane. And just mean words. But you better hope she's not handicapped, because exploiting a handicapped person to put their face on violent crimes and trying to use them as an excuse is a bigger crime. Alright, so, but even Agent John's girlfriend admitted they were drug dealers. In my home before, as Judge Peters' group, they admitted it January to March of 19. Faith Family Church, they were the ones hurting me before. Even that Will guy that's supposed to be dating that heavy-set Michelle or Lauren, they confessed Memorial Day weekend. 21 yelled at the goons from Ravenna, "Are you crazy? You can't enter a drug confession." Well, we just found out they drugged her and told her what to say before. I thought, bullshit, they were mitten in 18. Photoshopped all the lies. And like Officer Mark said in August 22, 23, August 22nd of 2023, between noon and 1, that it's documented, verified as framed before, and it was a drug cartel in my home before. So where that idiot was down there trying to say he's a head prosecutor's office. I had a friend, his name's Walter. He used to work at the Stark County Prosecutor's Office, Victim Activist Bar. Karen, don't worry about a thing. It's a big fraud scheme. They did the biggest mistake they did at your home. It's the Fourth Amendment. Where they laugh at you in front of people in stores, they Photoshop that shower scene in the other room and washing yourself to make you look weird with yourself. They probably did. It's clicking and pasting. And where you had all the signs of being drugged, being raped, seen by a doctor for all those injuries. Somebody was hurting you, even though nobody thought of a rapist. And you thought it was the well water. Somebody was hurting you. And where they're laughing at you in front of people in stores, they drugged you and told you to say it before. They probably did. That's why they're laughing at you. We all know you're sleepwalking with those drugs. It's a big fraud scheme. And so that's where, would a head prosecutor's office be in there saying, you're going to steal all my money, you're going to get me kicked out of the witness protection program, you're going to try to back being drugged and told to say it and be raped by drug dealers in drug dealer tapes? What is the jail sentence for a prosecutor's office being messed up in that? 40, 50 years. You know, Carl was down at the VA about a month ago seeing Lori. There's another doctor he sees for his blood levels. And I think it was him as we went to leave, because there's 2 offices by the door where they let you out. I could hear him. I'm going to try to steal everything for John and Melissa. For what reason? She's mean jokes and he defended me, and that's just a drug scam. And he said, then he tried to pull the mean jokes, documented mean jokes, and the drugs and told us, hey, I'm just laying it on thick. I'm going to get her kicked out of the witness protection program. Her husband's so old, nobody cares about him. We'll just throw him in a nursing home when we get done with him. It's probably that Henry Murphy, Agent John's girlfriend's dad. Yeah. And they're lying to him. They should have thrown him out. But no, Carl went in there last Tuesday, and that doctor was rude to him. First time I met him a year and a half ago. Nice as he could be. I got Carl's A1C down from 9.9 to 7.9. And he said, Carl, what on earth? Because within a few months, he said, she must really yell at you to get your blood sugar down that low as much as you cheat on your diet. He started laughing. He said, she's amazing. She makes me all kinds of food and da-da-da-da-da. And never had it that good. And she does get after me for my diet. And, but we were in there and he talked to Carl like he was stupid. And he was a little snotty to me. First time ever. First time ever. Carl's like, what on earth? I've had him a doctor for years. He's never talked to me like this. Ever. He said, Carl said, well, she really does yell at me about my sugar. Well, he has to be good. It's controlling it keeps him alive. He's going to be 81 soon, and he has to keep his sugar, and he has to stay hydrated. I told him, I said, well, we have a rule. You have to drink at least 6 bottles of water a day. It's not a request, it's a requirement for life. He has to stay hydrated. He has to keep his kidneys working. With as bad as a diabetic he is, his kidneys quit working, he's dead. And at his age. When we first had to move out our mobile home, I actually had his sugar so far under control. He didn't even use insulin for a whole day. Several different times. Of course, he needed insulin by the second day. But with him being good all day long, he didn't need insulin. Now he's been, ever since we had to move out and then we moved in this place, dealing with these people yelling stuff, and they incited his son to threaten his life and everything, trying to get him to be on a more stable diet again. He's on 2 insulins. And then he's been drinking too much orange juice because he's on so much insulin. His sugar drops too low and they have to bring it back up. And so his potassium, the only thing wrong with his whole blood system is his potassium was too high. So we switched from orange juice, which is high in potassium, to apple juice that has half the amount. And see, that's where I told him, I said, you know, you can either be good on your diet or you can go out and buy a casket. He said, I ain't buying no casket. I'm not dying. I'm not going anywhere. I said, this is where the point in time you have, yes, you're going to cheat on your diet. Everybody does. Little by little. But it can't be an ongoing everyday thing. You're putting your life at risk every day. And you can't just think, I'm 81, I'll eat whatever I want, I'm tired of it, because then you're bringing death to your door. And it sounds mean, but you have to be blunt because it's a serious condition. You're a severe diabetic. you have to stay hydrated and you have to behave to a point. And I bought all these sugar alternatives of no sugar candy, no sugar, and some of it tastes real anymore. And we'll only raise the sugar maybe 2 to 10 points, which is nothing. And then limit his fruit. He's a real fruit junkie, and fruit, believe it or not, like a banana, is a equivalent of half a candy bar in the amount of sugar. It may be natural sugar, but it's still sugar. And then start looking at fruit as candy. I said, as much fruit as you put on your bowl of cereal, you might as well put 2 candy bars on it. Seriously. Moderation. Cut back. You can still have fruit, but small amounts. And then trying to get his mind reset of taking care of his health and teaching him how to do it. He said, I've never had anybody care about my diet. I've never had anybody make sure I have enough food, clothing. He told people when we got together, I've never had it this good. I've never had anybody care like this. I love him to death. We were friends for 2 years before we got together. We've been together 2 years and married a year and a half. Okay. And so we joke around like little kids. And it's actually nice to sit and giggle and laugh. And we just joke and giggle and laugh, and it's nice. It's really nice. Be silly as we can be. He's lived through hell, and so have I. And life is too short, and it's a way out of dealing with those people. Agent John's girlfriend, September 30th, 25, she was sitting around cackling about how they fooled everybody to the wrong people. Biker brought her down outside my work, screaming at her at 1 o'clock in the morning. The guys running and said no one's allowed to say a word to her again in life. They found out this whole thing was your family's dad to drug dealers. Is that what's going on? Yes. Does she even know who you are? No, I don't want her to know. She doesn't even know you, and you had her skull bashed in, her raped and tortured because you were in debt to drug dealers? Yes, I'm sorry. She don't know me and have that done to me because she's in debt. I listened to her friend Matt and her talk January 13th, 23, that the Ohio drug dealers were threatening that agent's life. So that if for letting those people be human trafficked, and it was your family letting them be human trafficked, and your family even human trafficked people to pay off those debt to drug dealers. Yes, I'm sorry. She meant it to selling people, children. He does know he's dating a human trafficker, right? And it's your family inciting your new husband's family to threaten his life to steal his farm. Well, yeah, I really like it. I want it. See, there's no comprehension of hurting someone. It's all about personal gain. Princess wants it. Did you know the original cartel already confessed to that they photoshopped everything by 23? Yeah, I knew that. And they confronted her ex-husband by August of 23 of if he knew everything that was wrong with her before it was already documented as fraud, medical malpractice, medication errors, and they encouraged them to sue those doctors for years for that. Yeah, I know that. So when she was in there, June 26, that her family stealing everything for her, me, and it's My family's stealing everything from me because she's a faker. She knew it was fraud, medical malpractice, and medication errors, and they even encouraged us to sue those doctors. They actually almost killed me with the wrong meds. Massive body swelling, heart attack, seizures, thyroid, adrenal gland shutdown. And my community health told me how they were known for lying, falsely diagnosing people, ripping off, making them sick, wanting to do unnecessary procedures to get an attorney and sue them, and they'd represent me in court. They almost killed me. In terminal state to pull their license. Okay? She knew that. That's where January 1926. Well, in the first case, I had an Instagram account. I got an instant message. Hi, I think you're beautiful. It's like, thanks. Something about love on the beach, something else. And it was from Henry Moffey. I don't know him. Go to stores, people are talking about him. People that were saying they were drug traders and human traffickers from Florida work for Judge Peters. Walk outside, watch them get in their vehicles, and at times there was a guy that looked like him driving with him. I thought, that's weird. I don't know him from Adam. Well, on the January 1926, we're going up to Fairlawn, and where people are yelling threats at me. I said they need to realize I'm an FBI informant. They can kiss the Stark County judge's ass, the FBI's ass, and my government, protected government immunity informant ass. They could never touch me. I turn on MC Hammer, you can't touch this, and we're dancing around in the car. Okay. I hadn't even heard those people talk about him a long time. I don't know him from Adam. Here he's listening, it pissed him off. He came in and confessed. He was so angry. I go in, and the waitress sits me at the next table. Carl had to use the bathroom. He's sitting there with this other guy. And he said, I'm the one that got a hold of her line years ago. I thought, you look like that picture, but thinner. He's like skin over bones, like there's something wrong with him. He said, I prove with those messages she's cheating. I thought, that's not cheating. You're a weirdo. I don't know you. He said, I tell all men she's not good enough for another man, and I'm glad I never met her in person. I thought, fuck you. You're ugly as a horse's ass, and you wouldn't have got a pity date. He said, the officers that watch her for the case only watch her because they feel sorry for her dancing around in that car like a little kid with her new husband. I thought they liked me, and they're supported her. So shut. You know? He said, I'm the one that incited her new husband's family to threaten his life, to steal his farm. Found out his son was down there vandalizing stuff on the farm. I told him, stay out of it. I'll steal everything for them. He said, I found out that other Michelle's telling on us for what we're actually doing. The one that's going badass on them. They can't use it. You just confessed. You idiot. For what you're actually doing. Where December 1st, 25, Michelle showed up at my office, told me this whole thing was a scam to extort money from the government. Her ex-husband was involved, and that the doctor from before is not one of mine, works for them, and they had lied he was one of my doctors. She actually don't know who he is. And that guy Pete running his mouth about her, she doesn't even know who he is. It's just some guy Dave hired on his own, and these people admitted to using hypnotic drugs on her when they drugged her and told her to sleep before. She has no memory of those people from before. And the tape of Weird with Yourself is nothing but a shower scene in the other room. The whole thing's a scam. Yeah, she's telling on you. But they can't use it. I thought, you just confessed. He said, I have a judge's friend that'll enter all my tapes in court without the FBI. Well, they're busy with Minnesota. Turn all the case's money over to me, and I'll steal it for myself and be long gone and pull a fast one on the FBI. Thought over my dead body I wrote the president. Jerk. You're not getting a fucking damn dime, you ugly horse ass. Officer showed up the next day. We told you she didn't know what's going on. He said he admitted he never met her in person. Well, other people showed up. Nobody say a word. That guy admitted he never met her in person, and that's supposed to be the doctor from before. It's that guy, Pete, they talk about. So that's Agent John's girlfriend's dad running a call on me with drug dealers. There's a big problem. Where the Stark County Sheriff's July 5th, 26. We're talking in uniform. That girl that was laughing in the restaurant, she stole all the money from the cases, that agent's girlfriend. That he has to pay today. We thought he was acting that way till he showed up at the other courthouse, trying to get the case thrown out. Realized he's actually with the cartel, and he probably did steal all that money since he's been breaking. He stole it. We thought it was an act. We all know he didn't have the authority to ask anybody to stay quiet. It would be considered blackmail. And it can't be in the court order. It's illegal. And that he doesn't have the authority to ask anybody to stay quiet. We thought this whole thing was an act to get the drug dealers. But apparently he is with the cartel. And another investigator had already took hold of that girl, a prostitute, in there. Get the idea what's going on? November 23rd, 25, Macy's downstairs. Some of the girls from the cartel. This whole thing was a scam to extort money from the government. We went to her ex-husband that was connected to us, asked him if we could run the scam on her. He said yes, if they made sure he got everything in the divorce. They just needed someone to run a scam on. I got hurt this bad. See, that's where the FBI needs to take control of this case. They only approved a threat and attempt to lie case for an FBI informant with money and immunity for me to willingly stay up there to get information on those people that were harming me and threatening my life. Okay? And others. And to find out who is behind it. So, and that's what they approved. But unfortunately, it was one of their agents. Okay? His girlfriend, her dad, my ex-husband, my ex-daughter-in-law, her family member, Katie, and probably a couple other church people with the drug cartel, to run a con to extort money from the government. See, that's where they need to take control. The only thing they approved was a real threat and life case for an FBI informant with money immunity for willing to stay up there while they got surveillance on me to get these people. Okay? They need to pay me, like Walter said from the prosecutor's office. If they don't pay you, the surveillance will get thrown out. They had no legal right around you. Every informant gets paid that if you look at the freedom of speech, no one in the United States can tell you can't say anything. No one. No judge can sign them. The only time they can place a gag order on you is during a jury trial. They can't sign any court order taking your freedom of speech away. It's a constitutional right. They go to jail. Okay? Now I want you to think about that. He was only bullying me. Like Walter said from the prosecutor's office, criminal attorney, police, sheriffs. Okay? That's what is a jail sentence for an FBI agent if he tells an informant if they say anything, they don't get their money. It's 20 to life. It's blackmail. Same thing for the judge. If he had signed a court order. If he says you won't have protection if you say anything, it's attempted murder, aiding and abetting crimes, obstruction of justice, tampering with a witness. It's 20 to 30 years. Same for the judge if he would sign it. Like Walter said, there's guidelines. It's only for getting them information. And money immunity for the rest of your life. 90% of the people in the witness protection program are criminals. and only 5 to 10% are victims. Okay? And they wipe out their whole past. Money, immunity for helping them get information on somebody they really want. Alright, so the FBI needs, Walter said it can, if they don't pay you, the surveillance will get thrown up because he was defrauding you. Like they've been screaming he was defrauding her the whole time. They have to take it out of fraud, or the surveillance will get thrown out. I did research, I research everything. So they can't say I was abused. Like a willing statement of, I was willing to stay up there as an informant while they surveillanced me to get these people threatening my life and harming me and others, knowing I was risking my life, personal injury, possible death, but willing to stay there under my own will while they got surveillance on me and around me to get the people threatening my life and harming me and others, knowing that FBI would be the one paying me and compensating me for any injuries. And that other agent, due to the freedom of speech, the First Amendment, he was only bullying me. And that the agency would be the one paying and compensating me. It takes me from a victimized victim to a knowledgeable worker of my rights and compensated. I sign something like that and it's notarized. They pay and compensate me. It seals the legal loophole they've been screaming about since 19 that he left open, of him telling on me and admitting on a recorded line as a damning evidence of him, where he makes fun of me for having all the church people in his office knew they were trying to kill me because some idiot called me a faker 15 years before that to cover up his son's adultery, when it was the broad medical malpractice medication. It was almost killed me. It took me almost a year to get well. And laughing at me how he didn't blame him for trying to kill me because some idiot called me a faker 15 years before. And then makes fun of me for this guy, Pete. And something about a tape of Weird with Yourself. He sounded crazy. It's like, I don't even know who or what you're talking about because it's photoshopped by a man I never met. Said something about a crazed, dirty doctor, da-da-da-da-da. And I had some other lady use my insurance, and I thought, well, maybe it's one of hers. Ran up all kinds of medical bills. They got David was another girlfriend. Wasn't random identity theft. He was letting some other girl use my insurance. His other girlfriend used an insurance I didn't know about either. And here I'm having to shut down my credit and all this other times, different times, because you start opening stuff in my name. And I thought it was random identity theft. As him and his another girlfriend playing with me. I thought maybe it's one of hers. You know, the other lady using my insurance, ran up bills. No. When you find out who Pete is and the dirty doctor, it's Agent John's girlfriend's dad. It's Henry Maffei. Proof where he's laughing at me stops. You don't know. He knew I didn't know about the shower scene in the other room. He knew I didn't know about Pete. And he knew that his girlfriend's dad wasn't one of my doctors. He knew the whole thing was a scam. But the damning evidence he was behind the whole scam to steal from the government is a recorded line. I'm going to go ahead and upload this.